Hello, my name is Shreyas AC and I am from Karnataka Institute of Medical Sciences, Hubli. I have before me a specimen of the human heart and I shall explain its various features. The heart, as we all know, is a hollow, muscular, pumping organ that is present within the thoracic cavity in the inferior mediastinum. It is covered by pericardium that is composed of two layers, an outer fibrous pericardium and an inner serous pericardium. Serous pericardium in turn is divided into an outer parietal and an inner visceral layer which closely invests the heart. It is described to have three surfaces: the costal surface comprising primarily of the right ventricle and the right atrium, a diaphragmatic surface comprising primarily of the left ventricle, and the base of the heart comprising of the two atria and the great vessels. Now, schematically speaking, the heart is a four-chambered pump. The two upper chambers are called the atria, which are relatively smaller, thin-walled, and receive the blood into the heart, whereas the two lower chambers, called the ventricles, are larger, thick-walled, and pump blood out of the heart. The right ventricle receives deoxygenated blood from various parts of the body and pumps it into the right ventricle through the tricuspid valve. The right ventricle in turn pumps the blood into the pulmonary trunk through the pulmonary semilunar valve for oxygenation in the lungs. The left atrium receives oxygenated blood through two pairs of pulmonary veins and pumps the same into the left ventricle through the mitral valve. The left ventricle pumps the same blood into the aorta through the aortic semilunar valve for systemic circulation. Now, coming to the great vessels of the heart, we have the superior and the inferior vena cava, which open into the right atrium. The superior vena cava drains the blood from the upper part of the body, that is the head and neck and the upper limbs, whereas the inferior vena cava drains the blood from the lower part of the body, that is the abdomen and the lower limbs, along with the coronary sinus, which drains the heart itself. All of them open into the right atrium. Now we have the pulmonary trunk, which arises from the root of the right ventricle. It takes the deoxygenated blood to the lungs for oxygenation, and at the level of the bifurcation of the trachea divides into right and left pulmonary arteries, which take the blood to the corresponding lung. Next, we have the pulmonary veins, two pairs on each side, which bring blood, oxygenated blood that is, back to the left atrium. And we have the aorta, which arises from the root of the left ventricle, the great vessel from which all other arteries are derived. It gives off the right and the left coronary arteries as its first branches, and as it ascends, it curves to the left, giving off three more arteries: the brachiocephalic, the left common carotid, and the left subclavian artery, before finally turning downwards to form the descending aorta, which is divided again into the thoracic part, a part of which is seen here, and the abdominal part terminating at the level of the fourth lumbar vertebra to form the right and left common iliac arteries. Thank you.